So after a beautiful rally upwards, we're starting to see Tesla stock snap downwards, which is of course due to a multitude of different reasons, with number one being of course the recent fundamental update on delivery numbers. See, Wall Street was expecting 463,000 deliveries, and we ended up getting 462,000 deliveries, which is slightly shorter than what the expectations were. But on top of this fundamental update, we also had breaking news that Tesla's chief information officer is now departing the company, and this is pretty bad considering the fact that we're just a few days away from the Robot Robo-Taxi event. So of course, this is not looking pretty good. But of course, there's a few other reasons behind the selling pressure with Tesla that we're going to go ahead and touch on. But I also want to go ahead and talk about the opportunity that we may end up seeing with Tesla in the near term. So make sure to watch this video in its entirety, especially because we're going to go ahead and cover some of the positives with Tesla. This isn't just to talk about the bad, but of course there are a few bad things that recently have taken place. For example, one of the other issues with Tesla is, of course, the FUD. See, we're seeing a lot of news, a lot of headlines mentioning about Tesla having another recall for the Cybertruck, saying that this is the 5th one in under a year. Now, this is coming from many large publications such as Business Insider, Forbes, Bloomberg, CNBC, Yahoo, you name it, right? These are big companies making these publications kind of targeting Tesla that are saying bad information, right? They're saying that there's recalls for these Cybertrucks, and of course we know that that's FUD, especially if you're following the Tesla story, because these are over-the-air updates. These are over-the-air recall updates, which don't require you to go ahead and actually go into having your Tesla vehicle service, right? There's a big difference between having a recall where you have to drive to the dealership and have them actually make changes to your vehicle, and a difference from having a software update. I mean, how many times do you update your iPhone device and you just simply get it refreshed to a new system, right? It's not really a recall, but unfortunately with Tesla, any single time they have an over-the-air update or an over-the-air recall, right, it's just labeled as a general recall. And of course this is bad because it puts a bad taste on the Tesla brand, especially to those in the masses. And I know, right, for us who are following the Tesla story, we know this already. But for the millions, right? There's hundreds of millions of Americans in this country, and when you see the headline of another recall for the Cybertruck, you start to kind of worry about possibly not getting that vehicle. And how many times do people just read the headlines of a story and don't actually get the full context of what's going on? I know everyone has this scenario take place where you yourself know someone who's just relaying information, but all they did was really read the headlines. They actually didn't go ahead and parse through what was taking place, and it's unfortunate, but it's something that just naturally happens. A lot of people don't have time to just go ahead and dig through the research, and so when you see this FUD taking place of another recall, well, that puts another sour taste into the Tesla brand, and that's contributing to this selling pressure. On top of the miss on deliveries, right? This fundamental update, on top of, this qualitative update of, pretty much, one of the executives leaving the company right before the Robo-Taxi event, you also have this FUD taking place, and that's not good news. But on top of the bad publicity that we're getting in regards to Tesla, we're also seeing that the VIX index is starting to climb back up again. Now, if you're not familiar with what the VIX is, think of it as essentially just a gauge of fear in the market. And when there's a lot of fear, that causes a lot of volatility, which causes selling pressure. So why are we seeing a lot of fear in the markets? Well, I recently just went on vacation. I was traveling, exploring, luxuriating, and I came back and there was a lot going on in the world, right? A lot of geopolitical tensions that I'm sure you guys are aware of. We had some conflict in the Middle East. So we had some large leaders starting to press the big red button, launching, missiles. And of course, on top of that, we also had these strikes in the ports, which is also contributing to some fear. And so we have a lot going on in the world, which is not only just causing Tesla to have, some fear, but just the broader market says there's just a lot of uncertainty, and the markets don't like a lot of uncertainty. Now, real quick, just a friendly reminder that if you have not done so already, make sure to tap that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos, as I don't have a regular posting schedule. There's no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time and date that I post. I don't have any set schedule, and so if you're not subscribed to the channel, you're gonna be missing out on future updates, as you know, I frequently travel and I just go in and out, and again, I don't have a set schedule. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, and also make sure to hit that like button if you find any value in today's video. But going back on tangent, we are indeed seeing fear increase in the markets. But with all that said, I think there's a huge opportunity in regards to Tesla, and I'm gonna go ahead and share what entry level that we're looking in regards to Tesla. But before I do so, I also just wanna touch on some of the positives that we recently got. For example, recently, an analyst from Truist Financial increased their price target to $236 from their previous price target of $201.38. Now you may be asking, well, why are the analysts at Truist starting to increase their price targets with Tesla if there's a lot of bad going on? Now, here's what they ended up saying. Despite the fact that pretty much there was a little bit of that disappointment with the delivery numbers with Tesla, they mentioned that the company's average selling prices were relatively stable quarter over quarter, suggesting that there's price stability and pricing power still remains pretty steady for the Tesla brand. Now, this is very good news, because if you guys remember what we saw previously, where we started seeing a lot of price cuts for Tesla, we're not seeing that same trend in regards to this current year of 2024. For example, when you take a look at the Model 3 prices over the years, you clearly see that 2023, or really starting in 2022, wasn't that great for Tesla. But when you actually zoom in, 2024 is pretty stable. But this isn't just only for the Model 3, which is arguably one of the more popular products in the Tesla lineup, but pretty much all the baseline product prices for all their vehicles. In fact, if we look over here, you see this kind of flatlining of the prices or the price trends for all their models. And this is good news. We're not seeing Tesla have to continue cutting prices, and this is great, especially as we're heading into an environment where we're having rate cuts. And this is very beneficial for a lot of companies like Tesla that are, you know, interest rate sensitive, right? Of course, if interest rates are high, it costs a lot to finance a vehicle. Even if you have stellar credit, you're gonna be paying 6% at least. And of course, that makes a huge difference for your average monthly payment. Many Americans don't buy cars outright, and so financing plays a huge role in how the business model for Tesla is going to do, especially as about 80% of the revenue that Tesla generates is from the vehicles, right? I know we say it's a tech company, but they sell cars pretty much, and we have to understand that it's very sensitive to the interest rate environment. But on top of that, JP Morgan also raised their price target from $115 to $130. Now, again, that's very bearish, and JP Morgan is extremely bearish on Tesla, and they still believe that there's some more panic to, you know, come down, but they're kind of increasing their price targets, which I know may sound a bit confusing. Why would an analyst who's pretty bearish on Tesla start to increase their price targets? That's good news when the bears are getting a bit more bullish, right? They're still very concerned about the company, but they're less concerned than where they were previously. And one of the main, you know, reasons behind this is because of the financials in regards to Tesla. We end up seeing that Tesla is pretty much positioned very well in terms of their financials. Their assets, in terms of the short-term liabilities, are greater. Their long-term assets are greater than their long-term liabilities. So financially, the company is still pretty stable. The concern is really just the growth of Tesla. And so even the bears are getting a bit more bullish in regards to Tesla. So that's good news. I know we talked about the bad news with Tesla, but we actually have some good news. Now, as far as the opportunity, you guys know that when I'm looking at a company, whether it's a short-term trade or even in my long-term portfolio, which you guys have to understand, there's a big difference between trading and investing. So you have to understand what your goals are, and you have to, of course, see whatever you see value in. But what I see is, in the short term, I believe that Tesla could likely plummet down quickly to 233. And if we hold up to that area, right, that's going to provide a good area of support. And if we have confirmation of an uptrend, that would be a great area for an re-entry for, you know, to ride up Tesla as we get closer to the robo-taxi event. Now, I did share in previous videos that I believe that the Robotaxi event is going to be a bit of that kind of buy the rumor, sell the news, and it has been pretty much the play so far up until, of course, the bad news that we got just in the last few days. The delivery numbers, executives leaving, the FUD with the Cybertruck, recalls. But ultimately, if we fall down to 233 and we hold up, that may provide a great opportunity to ride into the Robotaxi event. But with that said, no need to make this video any longer than it needs to. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and before you guys go, make sure to check out this next video right over here, and I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care, guys.